principal of that school. There were only 3 of us, and there were 132 girls.
That's a lot.
It was a lot for that. When you compare it with these days,
yeah,
of course, but in those days the classes were up to 60. We started with first, second and third year.
Okay.
And what I would like to say is how the school came to be there.
Yeah, sure.
Would that be all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mother Leone saw the need of a secondary school for girls in the western suburbs, and it was the first secondary school. We've always taught secondary, but it was always attached to a primary school, and Mother Leone made the decision with her council to open a secondary school. It hadn't been Mary MacKillop's idea because of the situation of education in her day, but Mother saw how needy it was out in the western suburbs. So she, with one of her council, an architect and a builder, began looking at the western suburbs, and I've always thought that the school that area was chosen because of the parish priest of Revesby and of Panania. Father Carr was Revesby and Father Landers was at Panania. Their schools were packed to overflowing, and their biggest worry was to find where their 6th class girls and boys, of course, could go. Kingsgrove, I think, was beginning to be, it was full, and so there was a need in that area. And so they saw where it was, saw the council, and chose the spot where MSJ now stands.
Okay. And just out of interest too, because one of our houses is Landers' house.
That's right,
yeah,
Father Landers.
Yeah, can you tell us a little about him?
Father Landers, he was the parish priest of Panania.
Yeah.
He was, it's very hard to describe Father Landers because he was so wonderful. He used to come to our school every Tuesday, I think it was, and do church history. And I don't know how much he taught or how much they learnt, but they loved him. And he would always come up, certainly in the early days of the school, you'd always see his car cruising around the school to see if any of the girls had missed their bus. So he'd pick them up. He tells a story that one day he met a group of girls and he offered to drive them home, and they said, "Father, we want to go home, we want to talk on the way." So he always called them a group of walkie-talkies, and he didn't ask again, that particular group. But that was what he was like. He was a real fatherly figure. In his own parish school, he was always on the playground at playtime with a pocket full of band-aids. They never ever went to their teacher, the sister or the sisters. They always went to Father if they hurt themselves. So that's the kind of person he was.
Wow.
Yes, most a lovable priest.
Yeah. And was I'm curious too, the community at MSJ. Do you remember? What do you remember about that? Was it sort of supportive? Were the families supportive, or?
Oh, it would never have grown at all if it hadn't been for the parents, and even the relatives of the sisters. I remember we had a mighty working bee to prepare for the opening, which was probably not till about the April. I can't remember the date, unfortunately, but it was about April, I think. The bishop and the parish priests, and the school was officially blessed and opened. I've always considered that the first day of Mount St Joseph was the 25th of March, the day of the Annunciation, because that was the first day that the girls went into uniform. Prior to that, they wore their old school uniforms, and you can imagine how short they were, some of them, because they'd grown so much. But and on that was the day they all went into uniform, and we walked down to St Christopher's Church at Panania for their first Mass together. We walked all the way back, and that's when they had that big photo that you might have seen out in the front of the first building. That was on the 25th of March. Yes, and that was the first day they were in uniform. The uniforms were late, but of course everything was last minute, I suppose.
Yeah, true. And how did you get to help choose the uniforms, or
no? That was all chosen before I went there.
Okay.
We were called the Dotty Nuns, and the Dotty Girls, and one interesting little thing was that apparently there was a fault in the weaving of the material, because some of them, the circles became ovals where they sat down. So so you could imagine. But anyhow, the manufacturers took them all back and exchanged them, and eventually things went on smoothly.
They came right in the end.
In the end, yes. Yes, that was. I consider that was our first day. That was beautiful. Of course, the opening and the blessing, that was lovely. I think I mentioned a little earlier, we had such a big working bee beforehand. But then, of course, we only had the one building, 3 classrooms.
True.
And the little staff room at the front.
Yeah.
So that was beginning.
Yeah. It sounds like, from what you're saying, Honorine mentioned spirit, that there was sort of a real spirit that in her. She hopes that the spirit of the place sort of stays. Like, from your memories, from what you've said, I wonder if the spirit was sort of one of all hands on deck, like all, people were helping each other, would you say?
Well, the girls were wonderful. We had no cleaners in those days.
Yeah.
We had polished floors.
Yeah.
The girls polished them every Friday. And could you imagine now asking them to polish?
No.
And when some of them went to the juniorate, here. This was the junior. And when they came here, they were the only ones that could use the big machines, the polishing machines. They were very proud of themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know that we felt... I felt a little embarrassed, you know, at slave laboury. But no, they were wonderful. And well, they took great... that first group of girls, and well, not only the first group, the girls took great pride in their school, and they did love it. Yeah. It was beautiful, you know, it was different from anything they'd seen. The terrazzo walls, floors, and the beautiful walls. That was all new material at those days. Okay. And of course indoor toilets with soap.
Yeah. the things that were just sort of normal now.
Today, that's right. No,
it was different then.
It was really, yes. When Mother decided to do anything, she did it well, and that's about it. Yeah. Being there from the not the first brick, because it was well and truly up before I saw it. Yeah. But being there from the beginning, we had so many firsts. Yeah. You know, sort of. Well, it was the first mass we had together. Yeah. In uniform. That was most important, in uniform. Yeah. There was the blessing and the opening. There was our first intermediate class. Okay. We started off with only first year. Ah, okay. Yeah. So we had 3 groups of first year. The first leaving certificate, the first year 12. Yeah, that's true. So all those firsts were highlights, and I can see the girls going in to exams.
Wonder why were those memories so significant for you?
Because they were there first.
Yeah.
And I suppose because we were responsible. It was our first secondary school, and we were responsible. Yeah. So that responsibility, I was going to say weighed heavily. It didn't weigh heavily, but we were aware of it. Yeah. Well, I think the hope is being fulfilled at the moment. Any hope that I had, that it would continue. My dream always was that the children, the girls who came to school would be happy, that the school would be a happy place, not a fearful place, that they would enjoy what they were doing. And that they would grow in the wisdom to see that if there were difficulties, they weren't there to put them down, but rather to build them up, to prepare them for the life ahead. And I think we had marvellous staff, always had a wonderful staff, and whose interest was the individual girl, each girl. Didn't ever look upon them as a crowd or a group. They were people, individuals.
And that everyone sort of deserves dignity and sort of respect and empowerment.
Yes. Yeah. And even though we had big numbers, I suppose it was our work, and so time wasn't a bother to us. So even though we had big numbers, we always had time. Yeah, true. I don't know whether you mean the teachers or the pupils.
Both, yes. Absolutely.
Well, that's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
When things are difficult, it really is to not only to prepare you for the future, but to prepare you for tomorrow. You know, we often say to people, to youngsters, you know, think of your future. What are you going to do in the future? But they're living in the present. So I think the present needs to be an important part of our lives too. Today is more important than, certainly more important than yesterday. And we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, so let's not worry about tomorrow. But let's do the very best we can today. Whether we're studying, in strife, having a happy day or a bad day, it'll pass. But today, it's the present moment that is the important time. We often say, you know, you won't get anywhere in the future if you don't such and such. But today is important. Yes,
that's beautiful. Thank you. It's so important, and it's sort of the one day at a time, sweet Jesus.
Well, it is. You know, too much we encourage people. We almost force them to look into the future. And how many? You know, I'll go right back to kindergarten. What do you want to be? A fireman. How many did become a fireman?
It's true.
That was the dream of today, which helped him get on tomorrow. So I can dream today, but it doesn't matter if the dreams don't come true next week or in 10 years' time.
It's lovely.
So if I had a dream for Milperra, it would be that it's doing exactly what it's doing now. Preparing and helping girls to be happy. Well, any that I've seen, mind you, surprisingly, I've been to a few doctors in my time, and on at least 2 occasions, the receptionist has been a Milperra girl. Yes, unbelievable.
They're everywhere.
Yes. Now that's interesting that you should say everywhere, because our governor was a Mount Sir Joseph.
That's right.
How many teachers there have been? Of course, the ones that I taught are up to retirement. And yes, makes me shudder.
It seems sort of surreal, like amazing, really.
It is. Oh, yes. I've kept in touch with quite a number of those very original group that opened the school.
Brilliant.
They were a very special group, I must say.
I'm sure it was special for them too.
Yes, it was. Yes,
a unique bond.
There was.
Wow. Well, thank you. I think we're about good.